TSA will no longer require travelers to remove their shoes when they go through our security checkpoints.
For the first time in 20 years, and from here on out, we hope you can keep your shoes on when you pass through a security checkpoint at the airport. Yes, you can still be subjected to extra screening, which would require you to take your shoes off, but only under certain specific circumstances. I spoke with Tulsa International Airport passengers today who were thrilled about the changes, but because this has been our policy and a part of our lives for so long, it still feels very surreal. What has become an unpleasant tradition in U.S. air travel is departing for good.
It's a lot easier and quicker.
For the first time since 2005, nearly everyone passing through the security checkpoint at Tulsa International Airport kept their shoes on as they were screened. And they didn't even need TSA pre-check.
It's convenient, but this is just my second flight, so I wasn't fazed to begin with.
For many flying on Wednesday, the first full day of the new policy, they felt the timing couldn't have been better. Like most airports across the country, the TSA's new Keep Your Shoes On policy kicked in immediately in Tulsa.
It's wild. That's going to be the first time I have ever not had to take my shoes off flying.
Many say they understood that by taking their shoes off, the TSA has been trying to keep us safe. But the process of doing so was more of a pain than a pleasure.
I had mixed feelings. I thought it was a safety measure because that's what I was taught. But as I got older, I thought it was a little bit of a nuisance.
The TSA says since the policy was implemented back in 2005, they've added new layers of screening that include Real ID and more beyond just the security checkpoint, as being the only place for safety measures. And new machines like body scanners can see inside shoes and help determine if extra screening, including of shoes, is needed.
I personally felt like it was a pain just because I didn't know what I could do with my shoes to cause any harm, but I appreciate the effort to keep everyone safe for sure.
Many flyers say they have horror stories of either smelly times next to that certain someone or putting their bare feet on a high-traffic, dirty public floor.
I didn't like when I would fly in sandals, though, and had to walk barefoot, so I've always worn tennis shoes and socks now.
Whether flying in or out, all were just thrilled this inconvenient ritual is now gone with the wind.
Maybe 20 years ago, it was a safety measure. Now it is a little bit of a nuisance, especially with the technology that we have.
Now, while I was out at the airport, it was clear from some people we spoke with both on and off camera that many people don't remember a time when we were allowed to keep our shoes on. And they didn't remember why we took our shoes off in the first place. Some were just that young when these changes happened, and now they are adults flying. So you can blame this guy we're showing you here on our footwear fiasco. This is Richard Reed. On December 2001, just a few months after the 9/11 terror attacks, Reed boarded an American Airlines flight from Miami to Paris and tried to detonate the explosives hidden inside the soles of his shoes. Reed sympathized with the 9/11 terrorist. These are the exact shoes that the FBI still has pictures of on their website for you to see. The explosives in these shoes did not detonate. The plane made an emergency landing, and Reed is currently in a federal supermax prison in Colorado, where his sentence is so long, it's to the point where we expect him to die behind bars. Now, airlines had initially taken it upon themselves to have passengers have their shoes searched on certain flights, but then in 2005, a full 4 years after Reed's plot was foiled, the TSA began making all of us take off our shoes until today. Looking at the rule change now on a national scale, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem announced that along with the change of shoes off policy, the TSA is considering a change to some other rules. Ivan Rodriguez reports on why they're making all these changes and how flyers can be best prepared to pass through those screenings with less stress.
After almost 20 years of going through airport security in socks or bare feet,
TSA will no longer require travelers to remove their shoes when they go through our security checkpoints.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem announcing the end of one of TSA's most frustrating policies for travelers, which the department hopes will reduce wait times and still keep the public safe.
It will be a much more streamlined process going forward.
The move comes amid significant advancements in airport security technology and the recent implementation of Real ID.
TSA has changed. We have a multi-layered, a whole-of-government approach now to security.
Noem says changes to other TSA rules are also being considered if they can be implemented safely. Clint Henderson with the Points Guy says one of those changes could be the size of liquids in carry-on bags, which is already happening in some airports overseas.
The bad news is the TSA has previously said this is not going to go away until 2040. Not all the airports have these new CT scanners that are giant that can screen larger size liquid containers.
But keep in mind, those rules haven't changed just yet. So Henderson says it's important to be familiar with the policies, get to the airport early, and take advantage of flight travel programs to reduce your security stress.
Get TSA PreCheck, get global entry. Those things will really speed up your trip, and a lot of credit cards will reimburse you for those fees now. So lots of tricks to the trade.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
The TSA told me today that it is possible, if you are selected for extra screening, that you will have to, in fact, take your shoes off. The machines are more sensitive now and can detect things inside of shoes. That's something to keep in mind. However, I also met a man today who has TSA PreCheck, but he wears steel-toed boots and still told me he had to take them off today just to get through the checkpoint.